Toshiba. Now that rings a bell. Back in the 90s and 80s.
LED TV, 120 hertz frame rate, net TV, and resolution plus. We're all set to ship if we don't include built-in Wi-Fi.
Here it is today, and I'm pretty sure it's been repurposed by another company just to keep the brand alive. But this is the M550, and it has some pretty good things to offer. Quantum dots, 4K. It also supports Dolby Atmos built-in speakers, so it's going to be virtual, and it does support DTX sound as well. The M550 also offers a subwoofer, and check this out, full array local dimming. So I'm very excited to see how good the black levels are on this television. But let's go ahead and get out of the box so we can literally see how good this TV performs. So in case you're wondering how I got this TV, I purchased it on Best Buy with the hopes you guys are going to watch a lot of this video, so it will pay for itself in about 6 months. But let's go and get everything out of here so we can see what this TV comes with. It comes with these metal feet, and it has built-in wire maintenance. Kind of reminds you of Hisense if you think about it. And inside of here we have a little pouch that has some screws, remote control, power cord, instruction book. Yep, and we got some batteries. Let's go and get this styrofoam out of here. And since I'm going to be installing the feet on it, I like to put some kind of cloth on my table here because it's already scratched up. But let's go and get the TV out of the box. Whoa! And this TV has a little bit of weight to it. I'm very surprised how heavy it is, but there's nothing else in there. There we go. First thing I'd like to do is just go and get this packing off of it so we can take a closer look at it. Doesn't look so bad. Looks like it's packed pretty well. And to be honest with you guys, it's probably remanufactured by Hisense just by looking at the design of it, but who knows. So on the bottom of it, we have one slot for the feet. There's a speaker down here and this little press button to probably get to your inputs and turn it off. Let's go and screw this in. Now, one thing about the Fire TV, since it is powered by Amazon, if you have that Prime membership, you're going to get full advantage out of this TV. And no guarantees, but a lot of Fire TVs work with the Amazon Ring as well. So can you imagine you're watching your favorite show and somebody gets close to your house and you can see who's on the camera. So that's a good feature. And I may not test it out, so don't hold my feet to the fire on that one. Now here's a closer look at the remote control. You have your power. This is your Amazon button right there, so you can do voice commands, navigation, home, back. You can change tracks, pause your favorite movies. Then you got your volume, your TV button, because this has a TV tuner in it. And you have also some hotkeys at the bottom. And I'm surprised not all of them are Amazon, but you have Prime, Netflix, Disney, and Amazon Music. So if you subscribe to that service, one button, and you can start listening to your favorite playlist. Now, interesting thing is that it'd be nice if they just use Amazon batteries, but I guess they'll probably have to pay for that feature because it's not Amazon TV, it's just powered by Amazon. So there we go. Oh yeah, this is a Hisense TV. This just looks familiar. I'll probably have a TV in the storage with that on there, and it has that subwoofer on there. So man, that's some great marketing. You got to give it to them. But anyway, you got this ventilation over here, standard power cord input. It's got this little curve feel to it, screw holes so you can easily mount it on the wall. But it has all the features that we always like. I mean, you have your USB over here, headphone jack. We also, have an AV input. You can plug a little adapter in there, like a 3.5 millimeter, and plug it in. You have 3 HDMI inputs right here, TV tuner, another USB right there, and it does support eARC. You gotta love that Hisense subwoofer, so I know it has good bass. But anyway, you got an Ethernet connection, you have an optical output, and you have a 4th HDMI, so everything you need in a television. And here's the side view of it. You can see that little hump right there in the back of it. But it's not a bad looking TV, it actually looks pretty good. This TV has a yellow tab on it, and that's how you know it has a screen protector. Satisfying. Let's take a look at the viewing angles. So I'll go ahead and pick up the camera, and right now it looks really good. But if I go over here to the sides, you'll notice they will get some coloration. And that's due because this is normally a vertical alignment panel, and this happens a lot because of the way the pixel and the backlight is structured. And again, right here in front of it. So that gives you an idea of what to expect if you're buying this television. So now let's take a look at the glare on this TV, and just want to use my flashlight. You can see here that it does have a lot of light here in the center. And I'll go over here and turn on the studio lights. You can see a little bit of stuff in the background over here, but yeah, that's what the glare looks like on this TV. So if you have a lot of lights in your room, you will see it. You can set up Fire TVs two different ways. First of all, we have a basic mode, and this allows you to do live TV and some streaming applications. But they do recommend full, and this is going to give you access to thousands of TV shows, over 1 million movies and episodes, plus you can use the Amazon voice commands and a few other features. If you don't have an Amazon account, you would need to go ahead and create one, but I'm going to go ahead and sign into an account that I already have established. Now you can go over to this website, but if you have the Amazon application, you can easily scan the barcode that you see on the screen and you'll have a different one for yourself. Now that I've done that part, I can go ahead and continue. And if you need to, you can have this account to save your Wi-Fi settings. And this is if you decide to add future devices onto your account. It'll automatically configure them for you. You can add a credit card to your account for future references, but I'm not going to do that. But I will tell you, Amazon's going to ask you a bunch of questions to get you to sign up for subscription base. Now, if you have children, you can set up parental controls, but what I recommend is add them to your Amazon account and set them up on their own. And then we get to the main screen. The way this works, Amazon's going to have ads all over the place here. On top of it, you're going to see some shows that they're recommending. As you scroll down, you can see some different movies and TV shows. And I would say this TV is pretty snappy. And there's a few other things you can do here. You can change your inputs. You can add your favorites. You can search. And then this is your home screen. And this is live TV if you have an antenna plugged into it. There's also some favorite applications. And if you hit this one box at the end, you can see all the applications that are installed on the TV. Back on the home screen, if you go down to the gear, you're going to see your notification, different profiles you can add to the TV, as well as change your networks. You have sound and display where all your picture settings, and this TV does support Apple AirPlay and HomeKit. On application, this is where you have a built-in web browser, and then you can also turn off applications or you can delete them. And note here, this TV has a total of 9.56 gigabytes available. Plus you can add an external storage according to what I'm seeing here. On equipment control, this is where you can add some different devices to it. This is where you can see your live TV. Plus you can add different controllers and Bluetooth devices to it. This is where you can use the voice command. You have preferences, sleep timers, look for updates, accessibility. So that's a run through of the built-in applications on the Amazon Fire TV. Now we can take a look at some movie trailers, and overall the black levels actually looks good, especially in this area up here. I don't see a lot of ghosting or anything like that. Now there's going to be a lot of new movies coming out this year, so we can get the best out of our televisions. And so far this TV does have some great colors on it, especially those reds. They're really popping out pretty good. Now we will check the skin tones when we get over to that, but just wanted to play a couple of movie trailers so you can check out the colors on this Toshiba M550. Now this is Disney Plus, and I like to just play a couple of clips out of here so you guys can see the color reproduction of it. And man, that's actually pretty impressive. And here's another movie for you to check out. And the thing is that I'm a little bit off to the side as I'm talking right now, and I will say the viewing angles don't seem to be that good, so this may be a VA panel. But as I move over to the front of the TV, definitely has some really good colors, but I do see a little magenta in the skin tone. Now let's take a look at a couple of the picture profiles in SDR mode. Now one thing, you have the local dimming over here, your picture modes, your backlight controls, contrast, brightness, color. And then over to advanced settings, we do have where you can change the lumens, a couple other pieces down here, including skin tone control. So what you're looking at now is standard mode. Here's the movie mode, gets much warmer. We have dynamic, brings in too much details. In fact, over here it's getting blown out a little bit. We have natural. We'll skip the gaming mode for now. And then you have customize. And this is where you can add your own settings. And then we have the filmmakers mode at the bottom. And now we have the HDR turned on. And one thing I can notice, the skin tone looks a little bit more natural, but you do lose a lot of that punch. And we still have that movie mode that brings in those warm tones, dynamic, natural, and again, filmmaker's mode. And just so you guys know, I am using my Apple TV streaming device, and that's how I'm switching through the different inputs. But when I switched over to Dolby Vision, we got to kind of restart the signal real quick. All right, so now we got Dolby Vision. You do get an icon over here in the corner. Now we're back in the picture profiles. Now you do get a full list of these, which is cool. So we have Dolby Vision Bright, Dolby Vision Dark, and that's going to be ideal for watching it at night times, and it's going to give you the best contrast. We have Dolby Vision Vivid, Natural, Game, PC, and you can even customize the Dolby Vision as well. So this TV has a lot of features in it. I would say that it's not the cleanest signal. I can see a lot of artifacts around here, but it could just be this is an older movie. Here's YouTube TV, and one thing I can say is that the grass looks a little bit more like neon, but you got some good colors inside of this television. And one thing I want to point out here is under the picture profiles, we do not have a sports mode, so I just have it in standard mode, as you can see right there. For the price of this TV, I think it does pretty decent. I mean, it's going to be nice for a bedroom TV or a living room TV if you're not all into the TV thing. And I would just say that the colors on it is going to look very basic. And I can see a few artifacts here, but we're going to test it out on a little more controlled signal so you can take a look at it. Unfortunately, I can't play a lot of this content just because it's going to get copyrighted, but let you know that YouTube TV is the way to go if you want to watch content that actually has a good picture on it. Now we're going to switch over to Plex, and just so you guys know, I would say create a Plex server to play all your files instead of using SD drives. I just think it can process things a lot better, and you get this nice little interface instead of trying to use the TV interface that's going to be a little bit slower. So first test, let's go ahead and pull up something with some black levels. Here's a contrast test, and if I pause it here, you can see there's a little bit of glow around these edges, but again, I don't expect much for the price point of this TV. I think it's doing a pretty good job for what it is. And I'll pull up the local dimming zones, see if that helps out a little bit to clean this up. So right now it's at medium. We have high, low, and off. So it definitely improves quite a bit, but I will say that the processing on this TV is not going to be the best you've ever seen, but it will do a decent job for what it is. Now if we go down here, we can adjust some black levels. And here's another demo for you, and man, these colors are really popping on this screen. Like I said, you're not going to get the inkiest contrast on it, but it's doing a hell of a job for what it is. And I didn't really expect it to do this good, but the flow rate local dimmings is actually working on this television. Now keep in mind, if you had like mini LED or something like that, you're going to probably have more local dimming zones, but the TV is going to be more expensive. But keep in mind, this one was less than $400. I picked it up at Best Buy. And here's the last demo that I want to show you as far as the dark levels. And again, it's doing pretty good. One thing I do see is some artifacts on it. So what that tells me is the processing on it is not going to be the darkest that you're going to see. And you're going to see some artifacts, depends on the signal. But again, this is not a $1,000 television. Doing this blooming test, I do notice a little bit of artifacts around the edges. Just a little bit of halo, not too bad. The TV still has this black contrast to it. It's just when you pull up some of these icons, you can see a little bit on it. So when it comes to blooming, I would say that it has a little bit, not too much. But this is surprising. The dirty screen effect looks real clean over here. On this edge right here, I can see a little bit of magenta. And that's something I've seen on the OLED in the past, but it doesn't seem to be that bad. Let's go ahead and change it to a couple more shades ahead. And one thing I can notice, there's a slight little backlight bleed right here. And on this side, again, we still have that magenta. But overall, the dirty screen effects is actually doing pretty good on this TV. Again, you got to consider the price point whenever you look at a product like this. And here's one more darker shade on it. Still looks about the same as I noticed earlier. So now we're going to check out some upscaling. This is 480p. And I can tell that the image right here is a little bit chalky. So a lot of these TVs don't like 480p content. Not sure who still uses it, but I like to use this just to give me an example of the processing on the television. I can also see some jaggedy edges right there, but it's not going to be the best TV for upscaling on 480p. Now this is the sweet spot for pretty much every TV out there, and it's 1080p. This is the signal that you're going to get from most content that's clear. I can see a lot more details here. I don't see the jaggedy edges anymore on the buildings, and I would say the icon, the logo, looks very clear as well. Now we switched it over 4K, crystal clear icons and images. The building's got straight lines on it. The cloud has really good gradient, and you can see that all the details are there. So again, 4K is definitely the way to go. I know we have limited content, but it is increasing every day. I know you have to pay for it on Netflix or Prime Video or even Hulu. Some of those are now coming out with Dolby Atmos sound in 4K. So this TV is going to give you the best picture in 4K, and it's going to give you a good picture on 1080p, just so you know. Now while I'm in here, I want to check another thing for 480p or anything that's not widescreen. In the menu, we have an option called display, and right now it's set up on automatic, but let's go and try it out. 16:9, 4:3, zoom. So check that out. You will crop off part of the signal, but now you can fill the screen. Now here's the thing, a lot of these have to be from external sources. A lot of the built-in applications only going to play the native. So if you basically have a Fire TV and you just want to do these kind of features, you're going to have to get something that plugs into the inputs so it can override it. So that's a pretty cool feature, and I'm going to put it back on automatic for now. So here's some skin tones on this television, and everything seems to be pretty flat. I don't get those black levels around this checkerboard like I'm used to, but the picture is nice and white. Look at this, the skin tones look pretty decent. Now here's what I'm going to do is let's go into the picture settings, and currently this TV is set at natural, but let's go down to the movie, standard, dynamic, which is the brightest, and filmmaker. So movie mode seems to give it the most realistic, natural look to it. But again, I'll switch back through here just so you can see again. Now I do have a gripe here. I wish this menu system was on the bottom instead of the side here, because it's kind of blocking off some of the screen. But this is a good looking TV. This is a 4K Blu-ray disc, and as you can see here, the whites are nice. It's got the nice natural look to it. So at a good price, I think this is not bad. Okay, so here's the motion on this TV, and I do have it in filmmakers mode. The colors look a little off, just a little bit. And let's go down here to the picture settings, and we can check out some of the settings. So one thing is, it's a little bit on the extra warm side, but one thing about this TV over some of the older Fire TVs, we didn't have a motion setting. So down here we have what they call motion processing. So you can turn it completely off. You can see it gets really jaggedy right there. So it is working. We have a custom setting, but it doesn't show me options for custom. Maybe it's in another menu. Here we have film, clear, standard, and smooth. So these processors are working. And keep in mind, it's an SDR, and this is at 24 frames per second. Now I'm going to go back into my disk, and we're going to switch this over to 60 frames per second. So right off the bat, the TV is a lot smoother without changing anything in the settings. So it's because this TV, since it's native 60 frames per second, this helps out. And that's where the motion rate goes in, is because it helps process the different picture images to make it match up with the screen. So if you plan a 24 frame per second movie, this is a 60 frames TV, it has to slow down the pixels to make it match up. But let's try this again at 60 frame. It's off. As you can see, it's still smooth. We have custom, film, clear, standard, and smooth. So 60 frames per second, like your everyday TV content's gonna be great. On certain movies, that 24 frames per second might need some adjustments. Now we're going to check out the speaker system in it, and I think it's around 10 watts by 2, 15 watts by 2, so I don't really pay attention to those numbers on TV speakers, but yeah, let's take a look at it, and you can see the volume.
This is a tech steam test to see how good this TV sounds.
I think I found my favorite destruction. At least I'm to my pros, I don't play by the rules, I just switch up the flow. Hey, chill on the weekend, give X's and no. She in love with the kid, I ain't texting her phone.
This TV actually has a decent audio system. I mean, Hisense are known for that in general. So I did hear some pretty good sound, some full bass. And now we're in the sound menu. We have your standard movie, music, sports, custom. Inside of here, you can adjust your bass, treble, balance. We have some advanced settings. So we can do a virtual Dolby Atmos. And it does have virtual surround sound. I don't see a DTX in there. We have sound level, and this will keep everything at one volume as best as possible. And then we have a dialogue enhancer too. One thing I noticed that we don't have a control for the subwoofer, but at least we have some good controls for your bass and treble. Now we're going to check out the input lag on this TV. I just need to go over here to the picture profile, and then we want to go ahead and go from standard down to game. Now we got it in that mode. Let's go and check the input lag and see what kind of speeds we're getting. So it looks like we're getting 9.4 milliseconds, and that's pretty good for a television. The whole thing is anything less than 30 milliseconds is usually pretty decent for televisions, but 9.4 is actually doing very well. So here's the Xbox, and we just want to check out what this TV can do. Now keep in mind this is a 60 hertz television, but it has a little drop down so we can go to 120 hertz. Let's see what happens. So as you can see, it's doing 1440p, and it will support 120 hertz. And I'm pretty sure that's the same for 1080p or even 720p. So let's check it out. But this is interesting. When I drop down to 1080p, it only allows me to do 60 frames, so 1440p is what it is. So let's go and put this back in 4K. If we look under TV details, this TV supports everything except for 120 hertz. And again, that's at 4K, but it will support Dolby Vision Gaming at 60 frames per second. Now, it wasn't stated in the menu system, but this TV does support auto low latency and variable refresh rate, which is pretty surprising. Plus, again, we have the Dolby Vision Gaming. So when it comes to gaming at 60 frames per second, this TV has everything that you need. So now we moved over to PlayStation so we can check out the information on this one. And as you can see here at 4K, it can support up to 60 frames per second, HDR supported, variable refresh rate, the whole nine. And again, 1440p jumps up to 120 hertz, and 1080p again at 60 hertz, but everything else is supported. Another thing about this TV, it doesn't have a game bar, so if you need that, this TV does not have it as far as what I can find. Now one thing I noticed, the colors are not really deep in this particular video. But the reaction time and everything seems to be very good. Now, like I always tell you guys, I'm not necessarily a gamer, but I like to have fun with some of these racing games.
First episode of this year's live Extreme series. In this new season,
as far as gaming on this TV, I think it's decent, but it doesn't seem like the colors pop like it does on some other TVs. But regardless, it's still fun. Going the wrong way and everything, just having fun. So there's gaming on the Toshiba M550. In my opinion, I think the M550 has great colors with the quantum dot technology. It has Dolby Vision and it has really good sound, and I was very impressed with how well it sounded here live. The thing about this television, if you're a Fire TV person who has Amazon products throughout your home, this is going to connect right to the ecosystem and allow you to do your controls, and you're going to be able to use the remote control with the TV to do voice commands for your lights and all that good stuff. The only things I would say that could be improved on this television, I did see a little bit of artifacts and a gradient, but it all depends on your source. And You're not going to get the inkiest black levels, but it's pretty darn good with the full array local dimmings. In my opinion, I think it's a great television, but for me, I would probably put it in my bedroom or garage. They do make it in a 55-inch, which you see here. They also make it in a 65 or even a 75-inch if you want to place it in your living room. So, as long as you have the right expectations, I think it's a good TV to buy. And if you're interested, I'll leave all the links in the description below. I'm Tech Steve. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.